New South Wales recorded 935 locally acquired cases of COVID in the 24 hours to 8 p.m. last night. There was one overseas case. We had 124,650 COVID tests performed. New South Wales Health vaccinated over 23,156, but I'd like to really thank and acknowledge the key work of our GPs and our pharmacists who have been doing an amazing job. As the Premier has indicated, we've got 20% of 12 to 15-year-olds already vaccinated, and there is increasing access to Moderna through pharmacies, which is appropriate for that age group, and also GPs have Pfizer as well. So I just can echo the Premier's call for 12 to 15-year-olds to please go forth and get vaccinated ahead of their return to school. There are currently 236 people in intensive care, 123 who require ventilation. Tragically, there were 4 deaths. A man in his 80s from Western Sydney died at Dareton Hospital. He was not vaccinated and had underlying health conditions, and his death is the second death linked to the outbreak at the Uniting Engleglaze Lodge residential aged care facility in Penrith. We have, sadly, the death of a woman in her 80s from Wollongong. She died at Wollongong Hospital. She had received 1 dose of the vaccine and had underlying health conditions. There was a gentleman in his 60s from southwestern Sydney who died at Liverpool Hospital. He was not vaccinated and also had underlying health conditions. We also had a gentleman in his 60s from southwestern Sydney who died at Liverpool Hospital. He also had received 1 dose of the vaccine and had underlying health conditions. So it does also call me to remind people that whilst 1 dose does afford some protection, it is critical that you come forward and get your 2nd dose in a timely manner. I want to announce that Cowra is going into a lockdown effective from 5 p.m. And anyone who was in Cowra from the 13th of September, regardless of where they are, must adhere to the stay-at-home requirements. There was a 9-year-old boy who attended school in Cowra, and there were a number of associated community exposures. The source at the moment is under investigation, and I would call on the Cowra community, which I know they will respond to increased testing. And it is pleasing to see that the Cowra population has a high vaccination coverage, but again, call out the Cowra community to go forth and get vaccinated. We've also got some concerns around Dareton because of a sewage detection, and also keeping vigilance in Kempsey. So again, if we could see those high rates of testing there. In terms of the suburbs, whilst we are seeing some pleasing declines in some of the suburbs, and clearly the numbers today reflect that, it is too soon for complacency. And so I call upon the communities of Greenacre, Guildford, Bankstown, Merrylands, Casula, Wayland, Fairfield, Maroubra, and the Wollongong and Central Coast communities, and the areas around Waterloo, Redfern and inner city to please be vigilant for signs and symptoms. Come forward for testing, and please take care as you go about your required activities under the public health orders.